Okay, with it being 2 p.m., let's go ahead and call the City Design Review Board meeting to order. Everyone was emailed and mailed your minutes to the last meeting on February 11th. Did everyone have a chance to review those minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes have been approved. Our first case for hearing today is case DRB 2026-06 is a request for a certificate of appropriateness to install internally illuminated monument and wall signs at 726 South Irby Street, identified as Florence County Tax Map Number 90089-02-024 in the D1 Redevelopment Overlay District and ISCOD Irby Street Corridor Overlay District. Staff?
Good afternoon. The applicants are seeking this certificate of appropriateness to replace the Walgreens signage, both wall and monument signage for MUSC. They've taken over this building and they're going to be developing an imaging center there, so of course they need to change out the signage. It will also be internally illuminated just as the Walgreens signage was. And then they're also planning to paint the building white with blue trim, which we could approve administratively, but we just brought it all together. So it is located at the very edge of all of the districts at the corner of Cherokee and South Irby Streets. And it is zoned commercial general. And this is a rendering of what the building will look like once it's painted, and then with the signage on the walls. And they'll be in exactly the same places that the Walgreens had their wall signs. And then they'll just replace the monument sign with a 6.5 foot tall one as well, 5.5. So it falls within the requirements, size limitations of the commercial general district. So from a zoning standpoint, they totally comply with the Unified Development Ordinance. So here's what it looks like currently, and the signs will go where those lighter squares are. So that concludes staff's report.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions of staff? Anyone here to speak on the matter? Okay, we'll go in and close the case and open it up for discussion or a motion.
Elaine, the white that's on the building, is it just pure white, or does it have like grayish undertones in it?
I believe the applicant is here.
I can speak on the applicant. I can get you the exact color white. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't think it's been spec'd yet, but it does have, it's supposed to be a little more gray undertone than the trim. The building trim on top of the building, it's the same existing building line. We're going to paint that a new pure white as shown, with a lighter undertone for the building itself.
And my primary reason for asking that is just, I guess I hadn't seen any of the MUSC buildings in Florence with the pure white look. You know, most of them have that sort of grayish tint, in the building itself. And I guess if it's like all white, it just looks very beachy, coastal.
The rendering does not do justice. It does have the MUC standard undertones. That's kind of what they're going for, is their typical brand imaging for how their freestanding buildings look. So, yeah, the rendering does not show justice to that nature, but it does match existing MUSC facilities throughout the state, that is.
Okay.
He's the applicant.
Yes.
sir.
Mr. Braun.
Yes, sir.
And you're the Keith Corporation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you can,
Sorry. Yeah.
you just approach the podium and just state your name and then.
Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Lucas Braun. I'm with the Keith Corporation. We are developing this for MUSC.
Can I ask?
Most certainly, Steve, go ahead.
You own the building?
Yes,
Can y'all
sir.
turn on your microphone?
So you own the building?
Yes, sir.
Property. You're leasing it to MUSC?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I guess the color that Dr. Keith mentioned, is that in the application how it's going to be? Or
I don't think it's specified.
As shown on the application, yes, sir.
okay. It's a lot of paint.
It's a lot of pain, yes, sir.
But I think it's going to be a good addition to the downtown corridor there, I believe.
We believe so too, sir.
So, Elaine, is there any issue with the sign being outside of the ordinance, or is it just because of what it is that came before the board?
The only reason it came before the board was because it's internally illuminated, and those are automatically required to come to you.
Okay.
And the Walgreens previously had it.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Same, okay.
So it was already illuminated anyway.
And we're talking about both signs on the building and at the street, or both?
That's correct,
internally
yes.
illuminated? Okay.
But they meet the Unified Development Ordinance for area and number as well.
Does the ordinance specifically exclude those except when approved by the board, or?
No,
is it
no.
just-
The only reason they're here is because it's in the overlay district.
Okay.
If this was not an overlay district, this would be long gone.
Okay, just checking. Motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Glad the building didn't stay vacant long, so
Beautiful.
congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Certificate to be issued.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I understand that's already been approved, but I would suggest that since that color has not been actually submitted specifically, that be submitted to staff and that they approve that administratively prior to moving forward.
I would agree with that.
Okay, I couldn't amend the motion to include that, please.
If it's so I understand the process. If I can get Elaine the specific color, then she can give me the certificate of
Without coming
appropriateness.
back through.
Without coming back.
Correct.
Good deal. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our second case today is case DRB 2026-07. It's a request for a certificate of appropriateness to install vinyl siding at 308 McLeod Street, identified as Florence County Tax Map Number 90076-04-017 in the D4 Timrod Park Overlay District. Staff?
All right. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness to replace the existing siding on a duplex located at 308 McLeod Street. It's zoned NC 6.2, which does permit duplexes. And he's also seeking to install a dividing wall on the front porch to provide privacy to the two units, and he's updating the porch colors. And then a soffit is being installed over the rafter tails of the roof as well. We noticed that the work was partially done. It was purchased back in November, so it has a new owner who was unaware of it being in the overlay district. But it's here on the south side of McLeod Street, and it's on the edge of the residential district, backs up to the commercial district along South Coit Street. But that whole area is in an overlay district. I think it's on the edge of the Timrod Park District, but the part along Coit Street is also in the D1 overlay district. So this is the floor plan, and then the inspiration porch, he said that the columns will remain white, but the railings will be black and the floor of the porch will be black. And then, as you see on the floor plan, where they've located the dividing wall for the porch. And that's to give privacy to each of the two entrances to the two different units, and then to provide privacy when people are sitting on the porch. These are the original conditions. It had that lattice work on the railings and the wood siding. And these are the current conditions of the front of the house. It does have the wall partially constructed behind one of the columns. And then the floor has been painted black already, and the siding has been placed on the side of this one side of the house, and then everything else will be painted the white as well. So the downtown design standards, they do not give specific cladding standards for renovation of existing houses. For reference, replacement of wood windows, the vinyl windows may be approved by the board. They do require board approval for vinyl siding on new construction to make sure it's compatible with the building and the neighborhood. And a number of houses on this block do appear to have vinyl siding. I went back and looked. I do not have any permits for, or COAs for any of those vinyl sided houses. I have no idea when they were done or under what conditions. The standards do recommend the retention of features like the rafter tails, but to deny an application for a COA, the DORB must determine that the project violates the Secretary of Interior standards for historic rehabilitation as listed below, and you've got the list of this. The property is being used for its historical purpose as a two-family structure is built for that in, I believe, it was 1900. The historic character shall be retained and preserved. We don't know what the original cladding was or how much it's been altered in the past 126 years, but the current siding appears to be wood lap, which is characteristic of that era, and exposed rafter tails are also defining features of bungalows. Each property is recognized as a physical record of its time, place, and use. The wall is being added to divide the porch into two distinct portions, but the style of columns, the wooden floor, and appropriate railings are being retained on the porch itself. The changes that acquired historic significance should be retained. The lattice on the porch is not historically accurate. The distinctive features, finishes, and construction techniques shall be preserved. The original square columns are being restored. The original exposed rafter tails look like they're going to be covered, would want to be covered with the soffit. Deteriorated historic features should be repaired rather than replaced. The request is to replace the siding with vinyl that mimics lap siding, and I do have a sample of it if anyone wants to see that. The chemical treatments, such as sandblasting and that, shall not be used. So, so that concludes staff's report.
Okay, so for the existing buildings, vinyl siding does not have to be approved.
It's what it says about cladding on new ones. It just says that. Where was that? It does not specifically address the siding.
For rehabilitation, it doesn't necessarily address cladding, but it points to the preservation and use of historic materials, and it points to those guidelines that Elaine pointed out. For new structures that were being built, it has a list of approved approved cladding, which is things like brick and hardy board and things of that nature. But then it has materials that must go to DRB and potentially not permissible, and vinyl siding and aluminum siding, things like that, are one of those for new structures. So, the guidelines don't necessarily 100% prohibit vinyl siding, but it makes a strong case against it. So.
Anyone have any other questions of staff?
How long, I've been doing this for a while, how long have we been using the historic rehabilitation standards as a guideline?
Those were incorporated into the new design standards.
So this is relatively new.
Yes, sir.
It was a new list.
We had a version of it in the last one. There were like 12 points.
Okay.
So it's similar. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I did forget. I did receive an email this week from a resident of Timrod Park, and you do have a copy of it with you, and I do need to, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I do want to enter that into the record. And he was expressing concerns with the dividing of the front porch and installing the vinyl siding.
Does the guidelines specifically say anything about split porches?
The only thing I saw about that was it says enclosing porches or balconies on primary elevations, altering front porches to reorient entrances, or enclosing side porches or balconies is not recommended.
Okay.
Was the house originally a duplex when it was built?
Yes, it was built as a two-family,
Okay.
according to the property card.
Okay, anyone have any other questions of staff? Okay, having none. Anyone here to speak on the matter? If so, approach the podium and state your name, please.
I'm Monica Lamastus, and my home is not far from that property. They've already done a lot in the past year or so to clean up brush and just clean up the lot in general. At this particular point in time, there are no derelict or abandoned homes on that block, and there are plenty of others on other blocks. I see no objection to this vinyl siding. There's so many other structures in that area, close to and around that one, that have vinyl structure. I would have a difficult time saying, no, you can't do that. It would be a big improvement. The lot beside it is vacant, so the side of that home is very visible from the street. I see it as a big improvement to that block.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms. Monica. Anyone have any questions for her? Okay. Anyone else here to speak on the matter? Yeah, please approach the podium and state your name.
My name is Mary Lou Bircher, and I live next door to the property. And I'm in agreement with her that what they've done so far, and it hasn't been very much, but they've cleaned everything up, and the siding that they've got on there looks great. The divider looks great also. I have no qualms about it at all. It's wonderful.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll just go on the record that I'm here to represent the owner.
Okay.
So if you guys have any questions, I'm available to,
Okay.
to answer
Okay.
any that you may have.
Thanks. Anyone else here to speak on the matter? If not, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up for discussion or Yes.
As it relates to the architectural details that they seem to be concerned about, the rafter and the rafter tails, do you have any information about that?
Yes, ma'am. Well, the house is
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
can you go up to
I'm
the,
sorry. I apologize.
That's not a problem. Just state your name.
My name is Michael McKenzie. I'm here on behalf of the owner, Luke Littridge, with Property Solutions and Services.
Okay.
In reference to the rafter tails, the structure is 126 years old, and the rafters is extending outside of the property like that over 126 years are starting to deteriorate. And at this time, we just felt it best that to protect them and preserve them for the longevity of the house and the structure, that it's best to just box them in. There's 11 properties on that street. This is one of 2 properties on that street that actually has exposed rafters. Every other house on that street, the other 9 properties on that street, has boxed eaves with either vinyl or some sort of metal covering. Any other questions before I walk back?
Yeah, thanks.
That's it.
Have a little 2 cents as usual. I think that the overlay district, the intention of the Timberline overlay district is to protect the scale, the integrity, the architecture, and everything else that makes that neighborhood unique. However, I think that over the course of time, I think that there have been a lot of kind of breaches to a very strict historic interpretation and implementation of the what we would consider kind of historic guidelines. So, in my opinion, it would be punitive to sort of zero in on a specific project when there are many people who are going in and doing vinyl windows, vinyl siding, vinyl soffits without DRB's approval. And I guess what my point is, I think that the overall look and intention and sort of the aesthetics of Timbrite has already been breached to the point that I think that this is an acceptable course of action of improvement. That's my 2 cents.
Okay.
One thing, this would set precedent, correct? There's none other been approved for vinyl?
Under the current guidelines, no, but they're,
The
you know,
current
just a few
guidelines
months
just
old.
got approved, so
Yeah. When were they approved? May?
25, yeah, 2025.
We've
At the end of last
We've
year.
had vinyl siding come up through Timrod many times in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Prior guidelines, yeah.
Prior guidelines, correct.
I mean, part of what you're doing is you're trying to set a higher bar to step it up. The question is, if you set the bar too high, then you're creating a problem that nobody can meet it from a financial limit. So the cost to do like a hardy plank or brick is significantly more than vinyl siding. So from a practicality and cost justification point of view, I'm not so sure how far you can go to do that, because if the owner knew in advance that he might not be able to do that, it might make that project a no-go. So that, from a cost point of view, you do have to think about that. I mean, in the big scheme of things, we do have a derelict house that's being fixed. That is a improvement.
Okay, all concerns being heard, does anyone have a motion they'd like to present?
I think with the condition of this property where it is now, after him starting, that it probably is at a point where it needs to be continued to be completed. I don't think this is something that's going to be a guide for future properties as much as the condition of this property is what I'm looking at.
I agree with Steve to a certain extent. I also am very much against people coming in and getting design approval on a half-baked cake, that they've got caught taking a tree down, or they got caught doing window replacement or vinyl siding replacement or any kind of architectural improvement. You know, I have stressed many times that we should not encourage people to not go through the proper channels. And I think that personally, I don't think that the fact that this is partially completed, that it should render their case more favorable, because what they've done is moved forward, whether they knew they were or not. They moved forward outside of the proper protocol. But having said that, if they came in at the very beginning with this same solution, I would have looked at it favorably.
I'd like to make a motion that they move forward with the renovations as listed here.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And the certificate will be issued to finish the project. Staff have anything else for us?
Nope, that's all.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting. We're adjourned and hope to see y'all on April 8th at 2 p.m.
Thank you very much.